What's good, world? It's your boy Deuces, and this is the story on how I almost signed to Roy Jones Jr. record label, Bodyhead Entertainment. All right, so at this point, Streets and Young Deuces, SNYD, y'all know my music moniker. We've been doing our thing for quite some time, right? We was working with the affiliates. We did 2 mixtapes with them. We was in the Source magazine. We was in the Ozone magazine. So we had quite a few things that was like showing like who we were. People were getting introduced to our music. We was working with different artists and we were making waves, right? And so we would go down to these not conventions, but in a sense a convention, right? There would be they called them like DJ retreats or like music conferences, right? Same thing, kind of like a con. It's it'll be a place where everybody goes, so you'll have an abundance of DJs across the world. Magazines, top magazines, there'll be representatives from XXL and Source, but then there'll be smaller magazines like the Midwest League magazine and Ozone magazine, which was kind of like in the middle of big and small. But rap, I think it was called like Rap Report. Like there was just so many people, but then there was always these artists. There was indie artists, top artists, producers. It was just, this is where the music people got together, right? And so we would go to all these places and we would see all these representatives and we would continue to talk. And one of the people that we met at that time down there was this DJ by the name of TJ Chapman. Now TJ Chapman also managed B.O.B. at the time. So he was a big name and he had these conferences called the TJ DJs conference, right? So we would go to these conferences and we would meet all these people. And during that conference, the first one that we went to, we had met this magazine called the Get 'Em magazines, and he had the same vision as the TJ DJs, but he was from a magazine that was out of Pensacola, Florida. So he would report on us and do interviews about us, and they had this is when forum boards was going crazy, so we would promote our music kind of like on the TJ's DJs forum board, and he would be there complimenting on it or talking about it, and just this is where the culture was at. So he had started this award show called the Get 'Em Magazine Awards, and through all the work that me and Streets was doing, we got nominated as Indie Group of the Year, right? So it was us. We was nominated against Squad Up. We was nominated against Slim Thug's Crew, the Boss Hog Outlaws, and some other indie creators, right? So some indie artists. So at that time, I'm like, yo, all right, we got some heavy hitters here, but like we was making the waves. Like, so in my mind, as an indie artist, we didn't have Slim Thug backing us. We didn't have Young Money backing us. So for us to be in that category, I felt really good. I was like, yo, we are making some waves, right? So of course, I told y'all, I can make a hell of a pitch. And so I started creating like the email blast to our fan base and just more like, yo, check us out. Also nominate us, vote for us, vote for us, vote for us. And we was heavy in that underground scene, like Slums Boxed In, realniggas.com, Rap Mullet. We like our music was always on Hip Hop Game. Hip Hop Havoc was a huge website at that time. So like that community of that, kind of like with the Justo Awards and everything, they knew who we were. So we was feeling really fucking good. So we was like, all right, we was gonna go out there. Through all of that grinding and all of that, we get introduced to this lady by the name of Deidre Lacassie. Now, I don't know, I think she's doing movies now and everything like that, but Deidre was such an amazing A&R. But at that time we didn't know who she was A&R with. We just knew like she was a music enthusiast. She was somebody who was like a tastemaker in the industry. She had reached out and she was like, hey, you guys are going to be coming down to the Get 'Em Magazine Awards. I was like, yeah, we're nominated. This was our first nomination of an award show. So we're like, yeah, we're coming out. It was in Pensacola, Florida. She was like, I actually A&R for Bodyhead Entertainment. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, Roy Jones Jr., the boxer, the legend, the absolute monster of a boxer, he had dipped his toe into music, and he had started this group called Bodyhead Entertainment. And you know, y'all probably heard his song. So in that song, like I said, he was like, it was a hit. It was a down south hit, but like on the radios and the clubs, I'm talking about, we was all in that club bopping with I smoke, I drank, and like, you know, it was fire, right? So she was like, yeah, she was like, you know, come out, you know, we would like to just, you know, chop it up with y'all, right? Now, this is where we like, okay, we're down here for the award show, but we're also going to, you know, meet Roy Jones Jr. Well, no, actually, at that time, we didn't think we were going to meet Roy Jones. We was like, we're also going to go to Bodyhead Entertainment, right? So this is where it got extremely dope. So one, we get there, and the engineer at that time was the immensely dope, talented tattoo artist Boneface. And Boneface, man, if you here, bro, if wherever you at, man, we appreciate you sticking with us that whole time, because there was a lot that was happening. So we get there, and it was just Boneface working on some tracks and everything like that. So he's the first person that we meet. And then Deidre comes, meets us, and she's like, well, I gotta go handle some stuff, but Boneface is here. He's gonna chop it up with y'all. She was like, y'all, what y'all wanna do? He was like, can we record? So he's like, yeah. So we was like, fuck yeah, we're gonna record. Now, at that time, they also just signed Chopper. Not Chopper City from, you know, from the band, but remember Chopper Style? Chopper Style. Chopper Style, chop, style. They just signed Chopper, right? And then they also just signed the Outlaws. You know, Tupac's old crew. So like, they was building a crew. So now here goes thinking Deuces again. I said, hey, they're expanding and they don't have a Midwest crew. I said, we can get in where we fucking fit in. So we're at their studio, and then again, their studio was in the sticks. And Pensacola is like a swamp land. Like, they got all these wooded areas and everything. So we are deep in the woods. It kind of, listen, I thought when they gave us the address and we was driving, I was like, bro, this seems like a fucking setup. That's how crazy it looked. It was just in the woods, but it was like this really top-notch, big-ass, dope-ass studio. So we in there, and then Chopper comes through. And we like, yo, it's Chopper City. So we chopping up with him, and then he's like, yo, let's record some shit. We like, bet. So we did a few things, because we recorded off of the Hustling video. I mean, the Hustling beat, the Rick Ross, every day I'm hustling. We recorded off of that. And then we also recorded off of Shoulder Lean, just freestyles. Now, this is where I take pride in my music, because Chopper gave us a pre-written verse. Like, I know for a fact, I know what a pre-written verse is. He gave us a pre-written verse. Now, I told you, me and Streets, we are students of the game. Lyricists, we also love, you know, sound, like we had that gumbo pot of every coast. So we came with them fucking bars on top of being able to have melodies and dope sounds and everything like that, to the point where Chopper rewrote his verse. Now, for my artists out there, y'all know, when you make a nigga rewrite his verse, you know you did some shit, right? So like, we felt extremely happy about that. Boneface saw the whole thing, because he was Bodyhead Entertainment's main engineer at the time and producer, I believe, right? So then also, wherever they had a singer by the name of Mike Bless that they worked with. Wherever you at, bro, shout out to you. And we created a amazing song that we never really fully pumped and promoted, which I am super salty at, because this song goes so fucking hard. It's called Just Asking You. And it was like around the time, remember when remember when Young Guns came out with the song No Better Love? It was on that type of vibe, right? We wanted to make that type of song, right? We was good. This song, shout out to my nigga Labox who gave us the beat. It was just an amazing moment, right? So that first day that we landed, we did all this on that time, right? We recorded and everything like that. Side note, we end up going to the beach, right? Bodyhead, they was like, yo, let's go to the beach and kick it. So we like, fuck yeah, we kicking it with some rich ass motherfuckers, some dope ass artists. So we're like, hell yeah, this is the funniest shit. So this is before I knew like how niggas in New Orleans and like that down south, that dialect, before I realized that this was like really how niggas spoke. And this is when the chirp phones was popping. We chilling on the beach, it's us, It's Chopper, Magic popped up out of nowhere, Mr. Magic from No Limit Soldiers. So we just chilling, right? All of a sudden, Chopper get one of the chirps. You know, remember the where you at? Like he get the chirp, but here's what we hear on the chirp. It goes and all you hear is wow, what's happening, baby? Hey, I was like, dog, that nigga BG really be doing that? Like, yo, that shit had me in fucking tears. But like, I was just like, yo, this is fucking amazing. This is like authentic, real life shit, right? So like, we get that, man, and everything like that. So we go back to the studio just to kind of like finish out recording and everything. And then Roy Jones Jr. pulls up in the biggest, most ridiculous truck. At the time, I don't think I knew about the F450s and everything, but he had the biggest wheels, the biggest rims, this big ass truck, and you know, we sit in front of him, we chopping up with him. So we telling him our story, telling him what we working on. Deidre's there, she's talking about what she sees in us and everything, and lo and behold, Roy Jones like immediately was like, yo, I fuck with y'all. And he was like, this is the plan. He was like, we just signed Chopper and we just signed the Outlaws. What we kind of want to do, because I see y'all work ethic, I like how y'all work. He was like, we're going to do this rollout with Chopper. We're going to position the Outlaws, and then we're going to bring y'all into the fold. And we was like, fuck yeah. We was like, yo, this is exactly what we want, because it was like, he believed in us. He was like, I don't want y'all to change anything up. I like y'all sound. I like how y'all rap. I want to just bring y'all into this world. Y'all going to be our first Midwest group. Because at that time, all they had was Southern artists. They had local Pensacola artists. They had, you know, like I said, Chopper, the couple, you know, from Louisiana. They had the Outlaws from the West. So we was like, they was trying to get global, and we was going to be their Midwest artist that was on Bodyhead Entertainment. So then he was like, yo, come to the mansion. He was like, because that's where the actual main studio was at, and we want to get y'all up in there. So he was like, bet, right? So we, you know, the next day, so that night we end up going to the club, kicking it with Roy Jones at his club. That nigga owned like 3 clubs, unlimited drinks, buying out the bar. Like, it was a movie in that bitch, dog. That shit was ridiculous. He shouted us out, so now the whole crowd is fucking with us because Roy Jones co-signed us. Like, bro, we was in Pensacola living like rock stars. Like, I do believe at some point Roy Jones alluded that we bought the bar. Nigga, we did not buy the bar, but hey, I didn't care. Let the people think that we bought the bar, because like I said, the amount of love that we was getting was crazy, right? So now the next day we go into the mansion. Now this is where I said, hey, these niggas got money, dog. And like, not even on some weird, like these niggas got money shit, but it was like, I was seeing shit that I never seen in person. So as we're driving, like, you know, the way Pensacola is, there's a lot of things that are off the coast. And so we're driving, got the water on this side and all these big major mansions. I'm seeing buildings and mansions with like glass walls from the bottom to like all top 3 floors. I'm seeing mansions that got elevators in their mansions going up. So we pull up to this big ass mansion. It's Roy Jones Jr. We see all the cars, the Bentleys, Escalades, like just all the shit. We get there. Roy Jones Jr. He has the signature wall. I still got the picture. Y'all see it. We signed it. I hope he still has that wall, because if I ever meet him, or if we ever like have the opportunity to go back to his mansion, I'm finding that and taking a picture in it, because that is history. But like on that wall, there was legends: Rick Ross, T.I., Lil Wayne, Juvie, Manny Fresh, Scarface. There was so many dope people that signed this wall, and our names: SNYD, EMP Entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Streets and Young Deuces. Our names is on that wall as well. And again, we record some more shit, just recording nonstop. And he saw our work ethic and loved it. So this is what capped off the weekend, and where we was like, hell yeah. We go to an award show. We on the red carpet. They gave us the red carpet treatment, y'all. I'm talking about, we on there. It's us and Squad Up. We took a picture with Squad Up. We chopping up with Gutta in them. They fucking with us. They're like, yo, we gonna work on some shit. They're like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? And to this day, I still chop it up with their manager and Gutta. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really dope ass people, man, and always been solid from day one. But like, we had that moment, not LeChat, China White was there, showed some love. She was crushing on my nigga. You know what I'm saying? Like China White was trying to fuck with my nigga. So, you know, like it was just a surreal moment. But yo, we fucking won. We beat out Slim Thug and the Boss Hogg Outlaws and Squad Up during the height of the Squad Up mixtapes. We beat them. Midwest niggas, 414. So y'all gotta understand why I be feeling so confident about my music, because we got some wins that we got that's like not nothing to be slighted. We got some motherfucking wins and like we won. So Deidre, of course, go back and tell Roy. Roy's like, hell yeah, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? He fucking with us. She fucking with us. So it's like the plan is set in motion. He's like, these niggas that I'm about to sign just won this award. Hell, I got something to launch off it. Ozone Magazine who covered us. They like, you know, giving us more love. Midwest League was there. XXL was there. So it was like, it was a very good situation. Now, here's where the plans start falling off. During that time that Roy Jones Jr. was doing the music, he still was boxing as well. And if you know anything about Roy Jones Jr., he takes this craft of boxing very serious, right? So at that time, Roy Jones, I forgot who he was fighting. I'm gonna look it up and try to see, but he lost that fight. Now, when you are a big boxer like Roy Jones Jr., you don't just lose a fight, because now part 2 gotta happen, right? And them fights is not back to back. That's gonna be 6 to 9 months worth of training for the next fight, right? For part 2. So when Roy Jones Jr. lost, of course, at that time he was like killing it, and that was an unexpected loss. Nobody expected him to lose. I mean, of course, there's probably people that bet against it, but the majority did not expect him to lose. So when he lost, I remember watching that fight, and then the first thing I thought about was, damn, that shit's gonna impact this music shit, right? And lo and behold, it did, because he went back into training. He was like, look, I'm still dedicated to this music, but I got to get back to this training real quick. And so he got back to that training, and I respected it. At that time, I was salty, but I was not salty at him. I was just salty that that transpired, right? But then on part 2, he lost again. And at that point, I'm like, bro, another 9 months, it's not gonna happen. But we were still in contact with Deidre. We were still in contact with Boneface and them. But like I said, they was up, like she started updating us like, look, the plans is kind of going off. Roy Jones is still focusing on this boxing and everything. You know, it's his first love, his first craft, so we can't fault him at it. But she was like, yeah, it does. I don't know what's right now where we're at with it. And those plans crumbled. And then again, she eventually ended up going into film, working on TV and movies and being successful there. Boneface, obviously, you know, he was doing tattoos at that time, but you see, he started more, you know, focused on his own solo stuff, started doing more of the tattooing and everything, became legendary in there. And we just continue to walk down our path and doing our thing. But yeah, that was the time that I almost signed to Roy Jones Jr. record label, Bodyhead Entertainment.